Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Stranded Alien Dawn live stream. My name is Jens. I'm part of the community team here at Frontier and it is my pleasure to be your host for today's proceedings, where we are going to be digging into the brand new, recently announced Sow and Sell Early Access update coming very, very soon to Stranded Alien Dawn in early access. It's lovely to see you all out there in chat. Before we do anything else, let's take a look at the chat here and see who we've got joining us. We've got Jelly Murray, Heather G, of course, from the mod team. We've got Void Flakes here, Planet Becky, Amani Wolf, of course. Welcome, welcome. We have Useful Water. I noticed Crispy Tater Tot was here as well. Welcome to the stream. Silly Way, of course, with their silly ways, is also here. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It's great to have you all here. Today we're talking about the new and upcoming, like I said, Sow and Sell update, which is coming to Stranded Alien Dawn on the 28th of March. That is in 1 week from today. Which is why we're streaming on a different day to what we're usually streaming on. Usually we stream on Wednesdays, but today we're streaming on Tuesday, which is today, right now, today. And I already see a lot of people asking about patch notes and information and stuff like that. Full patch notes will be released for the update once the update is out. So next week you'll see the full patch notes. However, if you want like an overview of what is in the update, then you can head on over to the Stranded Alien Dawn website. That's just strandedaliendawn.com, and I think it's /news, or you can find the news tab up in the right hand corner. That will give you a quick rundown of what is in this Sow and Sell update. Or even better, you can stick around for this here live stream where we will be previewing what is in the Sow and Sell update. So we're talking, we're talking a bunch of different things. We're talking new scenario, we're talking new plants, we're talking new survivor, and all of it, of course, is going to be accompanied by live gameplay footage. So stick around for that if you can, and we'll try to give you as much information about this brand new update as we possibly can. But and if you're new here, if you're new to Stranded Alien Dawn, it is a planet survival sim in which you manage a group of survivors who have recently landed on a unknown and alien planet, and it is up to you to make sure that they have everything they need to survive, and then eventually complete their goal for what they came here for. Usually, previously it was all about getting off planet after crash landing, but now with the new scenario we're adding in, we're putting a bit of a spin on that. And as always, you can also join the Stranded Alien Dawn Discord, and there should be a link down in the doobly-doo if you're watching over on YouTube. And our good friend, Mistress of Links, Heather G, from the mod team, is putting those links over in the chat as well. Thank you so much, Heather. Okay, luckily I'm not going to do all of this alone. I am joined by our good friends over at Henemont Games, who are the amazing developers behind Stranded Alien Dawn. Hello, Bisser and Kali. How's it going?
Hey guys. Hey, great to be here as usual.
Yeah. Good to have you on stream once again. For those people watching who might not know you, why don't you kick us off by introducing yourselves and what you do on Stranded Alien Dawn?
My name is Kali. I'm an assistant producer and I help with various tasks and keep our game designers and programmers busy.
And I'm Bisser, CEO of Henemont Games, and on Stranded I fulfill the role of the producer, and I'm kindly asking everyone on board to do what they're supposed to.
And do they generally do what they're supposed to?
What can I say? It's a survival sim here at the office.
I feel like you generally run a pretty tight ship over there. That's the impression that I've gotten, at least from these interactions on stream.
We're extremely happy to have a great team that really loves what they're doing, and usually tensions here run high because people are so passionate in what they're doing, and when we disagree with each other, it's from the bottom of our hearts.
That's great. I mean, that's what you want. Like you want that passion. You want these things to come from a place of wanting to make the game the best it can be. So yeah, the new Sow and Sell update. This is the 4th early access update coming to Stranded Alien Dawn. Are you excited to finally have this news out there in the world, and for there just to be a week left before we release this thing.
Yes, as usual, we're putting a tremendous effort, and it's always a pleasure to go through this sometimes painful process of having the game mature right in front of our eyes. It was not that long ago when we released the previous major update, which introduced modding. Afterwards, we've been looking closely to what the players have been creating for the game. I can definitely say now it's a much better game than it used to be before that, and we can't wait to see what the players will do with the So and Sell update as well.
Kali, do you feel generally the same?
Yeah, I think that this new update will introduce a lot of things that the players actually request. So we have also focused on some of the feedback we received, which is very important for us, and we are extremely eager to see how players react.
And as always, this game being in early access, which means that players can leave us all kinds of feedback and suggestions. So if you have been playing the game and you have feedback and suggestions for us, please feel free to drop those on our Steam forums, on our social channels. That's Twitter, Discord, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. There's also the Frontier forums if you prefer using that. And there's been, a lot of it has come in over the past. It's been about 6 months, I think, since the game came out in early access, and there's been a lot coming in, and luckily we've been able to implement a lot of it as well. And I know for a fact that the sort of concept of trading with passing ships and eventually building a homestead, all of that stuff like that is one of the key sort of top level things that players have been asking about for a while. So it's exciting to be able to give it to them finally. So let's. I think we can just jump straight into talking about what you can actually expect from this new update. So, sort of top level of everything is the new scenario, the trading outpost, which is quite different from the crash landing scenario that players have been used to playing on up until now. Can you talk a bit more about what the trading outpost is all about?
Absolutely. For a change, as you already hinted, your group of survivors is no longer stranded on the planet. You arrive there on purpose, with a very specific purpose, to grow as much crops as you can and make as much money as you can. We've always found that this is a very fitting premise for Stranded, and we were really happy to see that it was on a lot of players' minds once the game entered early access. So yeah, a change of pace, but the different dangers are still there, and there are some new challenges. And of course, I've always thought that since we're making a planet survival sim, farming and trading are the obvious next things for it, because it's a tough job. Yes.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's definitely it is a different direction to what players have been doing so far. But I really like the fact that it is still keeping some of those core survival mechanics there, because you will still need to feed your survivors. You will still need to make sure that they have enough clothing. I'm assuming there will still be some bug attacks now and again as well that can happen.
Yes, your team is still alone on the planet. There is nobody out there to help you. So you do have to provide for every need of your survivors and ensure their actual survival. But then you're there with a mission, you're there with a purpose, and hopefully you're there to scale up your operation.
Yes. So I mean, we're going to talk about more of this, about this later. But the main goal of the trading outpost, because in Crash Landing, the goal is to get everyone off planet and back to their lives. In Trading Outpost, it's about building a life. What is the what is the end goal that you're working towards?
Well, basically, you need to establish many farms and just to trade till you buy the whole planet, which is kind of different than the crash landing, of course. But yeah, we saw that many of the players were eager to stay longer on the planet than we expected. So we wanted to give them a different purpose and different activities that they can do if they want to stay longer.
And alongside this new scenario, there are some new recipes that we will be showing off later. There are some new, some items and some new plants as well that I'm very, very excited about, that I think people will also get a kick out of being able to plant once they actually go into the game. What I like is the fact that some of the things you've introduced are sort of exclusive to the trading outpost, whereas others are, they cross over between the two, and we'll touch on that later as well. Do you both have a sort of favorite mechanic or feature in the scenario or in the update?
Yeah, well, we will definitely see this later, but the new plans introduce like some very interesting mechanic with changing the soil types, and this is very interesting for us because the simulation of plant growth is actually complicated and is affected by the environment, by the temperature, and so on. And this is something that is very interesting also in real life. So I'm very happy that this is implemented.
And my favorite one will be a bit of a spoiler, so I do reserve the right to call it out once we go deeper into the details. I don't want to spell it out right now.
Okay. Well, we'll keep that spoiler under wraps for now. Amani Wolf says, "Open up the Ulfin Cantina, attract traders." Well, I mean, that is certainly a thing you can do, and I like the fact that like you said, the different mechanics will all sort of feed back into the main thing, which is to trade and sell and eventually buy your brand new home. And I think it's a very interesting, different take on this whole survival planet survival sim that has been building here. Before we jump into the game, I want to show off some cool screenshots that some of our amazing creative people over at Frontier has been capturing recently. So Adam, please, could we get those up on the screen? First of all, we see this is the sort of trading interface, which we'll be talking a bit about later. This is where you will go to exchange your goods and services for money, or exchange your money for other goods and services, quote unquote. We'll talk a bit about what that means later on. And I think we can go to the next one after that. This is the trading pod coming, either going up or coming down with your traded goods. And as we talked about before, it is a different kind of scenario. You're no longer crash landing. Now you're landing with a purpose. And so there's no wreck or anything like that you can immediately start scavenging and salvaging. There's a question here from Rydar in chat, actually. Who are they trading with? I don't know, do you want to go into some of this already, or should we save it for later on?
I think we will see it just in a few minutes, so
Okay.
this will basically explain everything, yeah.
For sure. I think we can go to the next screenshot then. Again, one with the trading pod. This should be from the beginning of the scenario. I just think this is a very cute and cool looking screenshot because it just shows off an untouched world where there are plenty of possibilities to build your huge trading outpost and get everything started on. Adam, we can go to the next one. This is one of the new plants that we'll be introducing and showing off later on. And I think in this final one, there should be some more plants. Is this the final one? There should be one more? There's one more. So I think we can go to the last one as well. Yeah, more trading posts, more just showing off what is possible in this scenario here. And as Heather G says, the setting is absolutely beautiful. I agree. Like this is the Soberest biome. Obviously, the trading scenario will be playable on both the Soberest biome and the Desertum biome. So it is certainly possible to build your trading empire both in the desert and in the more temperate areas. But I think then that we can start jumping into the game. So as before, you click new game, you start off, but then of course you go to scenario and you go to trading outpost. A small group of outcasts buy a one-way ticket to the uncharted territories of the Outer Worlds, where they plan to set up a small trading outpost. This time around you have 3 passengers rather than 4 crash landing survivors. What was the reasoning behind going for 3 survivors instead of 4?
Couple of those. First of all, the pacing of the game is different, and then there is an additional mechanic to get additional hands for your trading outpost.
Interesting, interesting. And so, yeah, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be a different pacing, but we'll also talk a bit about that once we actually jump into the scenario here. And as before, the game difficulty determines what you start off with, and there's a new resource here called Galactic Coins, which is what you'll be using primarily to buy and sell things. So the more you sell, obviously, the more Galactic Coins you get in, and then your Galactic Coins are the thing that you use eventually to buy the planet with. I really like the fact that you start us off with a certain amount of this resource, so there's no, you don't necessarily start from zero. The lowest you can get is on the insane difficulty, which is 7,500, but we're just going to go with easy for this one. So as before, we start you off with some starting resources, which is definitely very, very good to have. So I think then we will just very quickly select ourselves a group of survivors, and we will also touch on this new survivor you can see right there. But let's someone just shouted out Chris. I would have chosen Chris, but I think this is more of a sort of a random group of people here. And we land. I think this is a lot nicer and a lot more peaceful than the screaming and crying and things exploding around you from the crash landing scenario. So we've talked a bit about the differences here. What are some of the things that players can expect when they first start off here? Because, like I said, there's no crash landing. There's not a lot of spaceships that you can pick apart for resources, but you do start off with some resources and maybe also some other things. What is it you start off with in this scenario?
First of all, you do come prepared. Then there is nobody's in meltdown immediately as a result of the crash. It's still the same planet. You can see a derelict part of a spaceship close to you.
Mm.
But the immediate starting setup is different, as you pointed out, with the different difficulty levels. You have gracefully chosen to have access to a couple of laser pistols and really a lot of rations.
Mm-hmm.
So this will change your early game from the get-go.
Yeah,
go on,
also
Kali.
you will see that probably the survivors is not the word that we should use, because they are by their own desire just to conquer the planet, and they also have some farming knowledge. So you expect to start with a farm available, like a certain crop. It might be a crop that's eatable or that's used for crafting, but this is something you will see. Yeah, you actually have 2 of those.
We actually started off with heptagonias, which give us sweet syrup, which I think is very, very, very good to have, because that sweet syrup can. I know for a fact that a lot of people out there who are playing this game have survived a lot of winters on sweet syrup alone with their survivors in the crash landing scenario. We also have the smoke leaf, and then we have the buzz shrooms, which are some of the new. The new plants that we are adding in with this here update, and there's several suggestions for what we can call them. We can call them colonists, pioneers, farm owners. I think also has come up now and again as well. But we're definitely in a sort of different, a different world, a different type of approach to how we do this.
We do prefer to address them as owners, to give them, to differentiate the survivors that you start with from latecomers that may come under a different rule set and have different goals. And we'll get more deeper into that. But with the sow and sell scenario, we are putting a lot of more effort on farming and crops, and now you will see that those new crops will lead to soil degradation. So there is a more deep mechanic there now that you also have new tools to address.
Also, when you start the new scenario, I would say that you should consider the characters you're playing with, because ultimately their skill set will be different from the ones you choose for the crash landing scenario. And the activities that the workers will perform are also very different. Probably it's a good idea to have someone with higher combat skills, but most of them will not be doing that much fighting. But yeah, this is something the players will experience themselves when they launch the scenario for sure.
Seeing as there's I was going to say, seeing as there's a greater focus on farming, probably from the beginning as well, maybe farming skill is something you should consider having more of in the beginning at least. And there is a bit of a trade-off now that we are 3 rather than 4. You're losing an entirely separate person, so there will then be one less person to do things and more to do because of the one less person.
Yeah, well, as we said, there will be opportunities to get more workers, but also this, like, the skills is something you definitely take into consideration for the scenario. But we will see this when the game progresses.
Absolutely. So we've landed here now, and it's interesting because we see, much unlike in the crash landing scenario, there's no meltdowns going on. Everyone's starting at 50% happiness, sort of fresh off. So it's very much, yeah, like I said, there's none of the screaming and crying and fear and oh my god, what are we doing? Would you say that makes things easier? Would you say it makes things sort of on the level? Like, what would be easier? What would be more difficult in this scenario?
I would say that it makes things different, which is the goal that we've been pursuing. We want to challenge the players to explore and find different ways to play the game. And one of them was to change the starting conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, you also still have to take care of their health, and just to make sure that they're happy. This will not be changed, but yeah, they might have different reactions to the environment than in the crash landing scenario.
Okay, that's very interesting. Question in chat from Amani Wolf: can your ship be attacked and destroyed by creatures? If so, what happens? There is an integrity stat here. What happens when this reaches 0?
Well, you'll have to find a way to rebuild it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I thought for a second, considering Bisser's smirk on the side there, I was like, oh, does that mean that the entire thing is going to be destroyed? Question also from Voidflakes: will this scenario have the same attack waves as crash landing, or will things be a bit different here?
The attack waves are there. I'm not sure about the last balance iteration that we did, but there is definitely alien threat out there. I mean, use those blasters. Take somebody that can fight.
It's probably going to be a good idea anyway, because I do think, in my experience, that there's going to be some things happening anyway, and at some point you will probably need to maybe grab some of these Ulfen over here and hunt them down for some food and some leather, just in case in case you need that.
Well, I was going to say that since this is already a planet that you're familiar with, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to tackle the enemies again and the environment. It's like we have already seen this, we already know the planet, but now we have like a different purpose to buy it, to conquer it, instead of just survive on it.
Absolutely. It's all about, like making the place your own by building sort of a homestead and all of that stuff. If you're just joining us here on this stream, welcome. My name is Jens. I'm part of the community team here at Frontier Developments, and today we're demoing Stranded: Alien Dawn and the new early access update, the Sow and Sell update, together with the games developers from Hemmemont Games. This is Bisser and Kali from Hemmemont, and I hope you'll stick around if you're just joining us over on Twitch or over on YouTube. So we've just covered the beginnings of the scenario, what what you should be doing once you're starting out. Obviously, you should be building a camp. There's still like things will be familiar. There's still shelters to be built. There are storage things to be created. There's science to be done on the research desk. You have your laser pistols and things like that you need to start using for things like hunting and things like that. But this trading pod, that is sort of I would call it like the main feature of the base that you'll be building up, of the camp that you'll be building. What is the trading pod?
Okay, basically, so this is the device you use to load with goods and start trading with ships that orbit the planet. But you won't have like ships always around. There will be just ships passing by. And this is basically the device that sends and delivers the goods. So this is why you have the fuel. And this is something you have to be careful not to run out of, because this is what you use to send the trading pods to the ships and back. And usually this is like sufficient for many trading deals, but yeah, you have to be careful not to run out of fuel.
Absolutely. It's probably a good idea to still be able to deliver the things that you promised to the people that you're trying to trade with. It definitely feels like a good way of balancing it, the fact that you still have to fuel this thing and make sure that it's able to travel to where it needs to go, because otherwise you could just, there needs to be some sort of fail state in the end for all of this. But I do like the trading pod. I'm gonna actually, Adam, if we can switch away from the gameplay here, I'm gonna load up a later save, so we can showcase a bit what it might look like once you've actually been able to build some things up. So let's have a bit of a gander at what that does. So here we go. And I think we can switch back. Thank you, Adam. So we've skipped ahead a little bit. We've jumped about 2 years ahead. So this is day 2 of year 3. We've got a pretty decent base here set up. We've got some good defenses. We've got some energy production. We've got some nice looking farms. We have 6 people working on the farm. 3 of them started out as owners and 3 of them have been hired at a later date. And we're going to talk about what that means later on. But first I want to get back to this trading pod here. So how do we get in touch with these other people who might want to trade with us?
There is a contact button on the right side of the info panel. Yep.
And so I'm assuming Tell Me About Trading Ships is what's going to be telling us about trading ships. And I do think I just clicked, never mind, we missed out. Right now we do have a trading ship in orbit, which it is the colony ship OCF Celestial Trader 4. And what is it that we see in front of us?
Okay, so this is a trading menu that you can select which goods to buy and which goods to sell. And there are like many types of trading ships, and depending on the type of ship that's near you, you can sell or buy different stuff. Right now this is a colony ship, and you can see that basically you can sell a lot of materials, and you can also buy food if you are in need. So this is also the reason why you're starting with some galactic coins available. You can boost your the start of the game for you. You can buy weapons if the ship has available, and also you can sell some resources that you don't consider available. But basically depending on the ships, you can see that you can buy different stuff and also sell different stuff.
This home mechanic actually opens a new perspective for the players. Players that are interested may try to skip on some aspect of the self-sufficiency and rely on passing by trade ships and keep their fingers crossed for having the right ships at the right time, and try to see what happens when you don't go for 100% self-sufficiency. There is another aspect to that. Ultimately, what you play with in Stranded is you manage um, people's time. So the more time you allocate for supporting self-sufficiency of your people, the less time you will allocate for growing crops and getting rich. It's a basic dilemma.
Basic dilemma in this particular scenario. So, obviously, what is the term? Buy low, sell high, I think, and something tells me that yeah, if it's green on the side, that you can sell it for a decent profit. If it's the red will then be your purchasing order, and you can see here also how many galactic coins each faction is sitting with. Right now, we're sitting at a profit of 10,000 galactic coins, which is, you know, I'd say pretty good, but also we're lucky that it's early spring, because maybe late autumn, early winter, if I started selling off my food, it might not be a good idea, considering I have 6 people working on this particular farm right here. There are some comments from people saying that 950,000 coins for a whole planet, that seems pretty cheap. So you might want to, maybe you need to jack up the prices a little bit.
Yeah, but there is also, you can see the selling rate and the buying rate. And this is particularly for the ship, and also you have a small boost because you have a haggler in your team.
Yes.
And also, yeah, just because you can sell those resources for these prices doesn't mean that you don't have to be like extremely careful what you produce and who you sell it to.
Okay.
Because this is something also important in the game. But yeah, the planetary ownership can be pretty difficult to buy, especially if it's winter and you don't have enough food and you have to give a lot of your galactic coins to buy some rations.
Yeah, it's in case you suddenly run out of food and the only trader you can find. Yeah, we'll have food.
It's still more
you'll
important
need
to be alive than to be rich.
Exactly, yeah. And someone will come along and say, "Oh, we have food, but you'll need to pay double in order to get it," for example. So there's still going to be some trade-offs, I think. Question here from Death Jaeger: do unit prices always stay the same? Are there different ships with different rates? Will selling 10,000 of an item drive prices down? Basically, can you create, what is it, galactic, what's the term? Can you create a galactic recession by just flooding the market?
Well, it should be like a really small galaxy if you can flood the market with just 3 people.
Yeah, from one tiny little
I
planet.
would say, yeah. But there are different ships with different offers, and there are also other factors that affect the prices for the specific deals. If you can look a bit deeper at Vicente, then we could probably go deeper into that direction.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to cancel out of this trade, because we're going to get back to it later on. But our good friend Vicente Santiago, who's our new survivor, who is an avid farmer, he's a haggler, and unfortunately he's a bit of a kitchen hazard, so he can't do any cooking. But go on.
Yeah, so this character presents like the haggling mechanic that helps you in 2 ways. He changes the rates for buying and selling, and he also helps the negotiating better wages of the workers that you can hire. And this is something that's really cool, because you really have to be careful not to run out of galactic coins, because if you're not able to pay the worker, he will just leave.
And here we come to that secondary mechanic for bringing people abroad, not aboard, but on the planet. So the first survivor, the first owners that land are the owners of the trading outpost, but you can get hired help, and this opens up another layer of possibilities, but also another layer of problems. You do need to have the money to pay up for your hired help. Depending on that they can also become happy, unhappy, etc. They might decide to leave at some point if you cannot manage that subset of mechanics. And there is more, which even touches on my favorite feature in the game.
You can also decide not to hire a worker that applied for the job. If you think that his skill set is not good enough, you can just decline him. So, yeah. This is something, as I said, that you need to think about the skills, because the survivors are random that you can hire. You don't have to, like, you're not gonna get a full list of 5 survivors that you can choose between.
Right.
You can see only the guys that are coming with some ships and are eager to stay.
Yeah, only the other crazy guys that are willing to come to a planet that's inhabited just by a handful of people and try to brave everything, and only for pay. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, if you're down on your luck and if you don't know where else to go, why not take a hire on some farmland on a planet you've never been to and see how things go?
Absolutely, yes. And you might even make it up the chain to owner someday. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, no. As you can see here, for people watching, like some 3 of these characters here have the farm owner trait, which means that they are farm owners and don't require wages, whereas these other ones are hired workers and are on a time contract and will eventually leave if they are not rehired, which I think is a very it's a very interesting mechanic, because it forces you into making certain decisions about whether or not to keep them around. Okay, hold on. Let me just see here. One thing I noticed, we can talk a bit about more about hiring and stuff later. One thing I noticed here is that you can also purchase technologies from these traders. What was the sort of reasoning and decision making behind having this as a mechanic in the game, or in this scenario?
As I mentioned before, this kind of ties up to what I was saying earlier. First of all, you're no longer stranded. You're in communication with the galaxy at large, and it's only reasonable that you can supplement your technological development. Also, since you're now in a position to give something of value to the galaxy at large, you should be able to trade this for different things that are valuable to you. Therefore, technologies is just one of the one of the possible ways to spend your resources.
I think
Also, like, it's very interesting because you can change the progress. Like, you can decide to spend the money so you can research a technology faster. And also a second thing that's pretty interesting, that you can decide to buy seeds from another region. And they're probably pretty rare, but this is something that's also available.
Is it possible to buy research that you are not able to unlock yet on the research tree? For example, I noticed that in this particular instance, I could buy the technology for heat pumping. Well, yeah, no, I answered my own question. I can buy the technology for heat pumping, but I don't yet have the requirements to actually do the research. So will this then immediately unlock heat pumping, even though I don't have the CPU course? That's pretty good. So for all you speedrunners out there, that might actually be a very, very helpful little mechanic. Speaking of speedrunners, there's a guy, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a guy on our Discord who has managed to escape after 38 days, I think, is his personal best right now in the game. So yeah, they're getting there quicker and quicker.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah. So there are many different. No, that was the wrong button. Excuse me. So can you tell me a bit about these different trading factions? So we've seen one, which is the OCF Celestial Traders, and you mentioned that there were others. Can you do they offer different things, different prices?
Yeah.
What are some of the factions that you'll be trading with?
Yeah, if you select the trading bot again, you will see that under contact, there is an option to get more information about the trading ships. And
doesn't
for
appear to
some
be
reason.
working. Not sure why that is.
Yeah, okay, well,
Well.
it's... Yeah, well, we'll see if it's something with the boss.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Yep.
Yep.
So the Outer Colonies Federation, there's the Galactic Trade League, Smugglers Guild, very good, and Terran Defense Fleet. So I can already assume what some of these folks have in their inventories. Anything in particular you'd like to share about these trading factions?
I love the Smugglers Guild.
Okay.
Yeah, they provide a small amount of different resources that are kind of unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Competitive pricing, it's kind of opening a box of chocolates in a way.
Never know what you're going to get.
And could be expensive chocolates as well.
Yeah, well, this is something that you should keep an eye on because different ships, like as we mentioned, sell different goods. But for example, the only few types of ships, like 2 types of ships, sell technologies. So if you have like smugglers around, there won't be of much help if you want to progress with the research.
Right.
And also, you can buy stuff or sell stuff at different rates. For example, smugglers might be not so eager to buy at full price, and so on. And also, if you are in need of weapons, there are military ships that you can buy gear from, which is also very interesting. But it changes the game since you don't know which ship is coming next and what you can buy and what you can sell.
Because that was going to be my follow-up question. When you put out a call to trade, I'm assuming you're never quite sure who will answer and say, "Hey, we have goods for you." It's kind of you're putting a message out there, but whoever's nearby are the people who are going to be responding. So if you want to trade with a specific faction, you might need to wait a while, I'm assuming, and maybe send out multiple signals. I think that's also an interesting mechanic of adding a bit of randomness into it, because you're never quite sure who's going to be out there up in space. We also did post keep pushing the trade button. I'm sorry about that. I also sent out a job offer earlier. We'll see if anyone wants to take it so we can see what that looks like. If there are any questions from people watching over in chat, feel free to post them in the chat, and we will ask them of Visser and Kali. I'm also noticing on the side here there is a timer slowly ticking down. I'm assuming that means obviously the time I have to trade with this for a particular faction, and once it reaches 0, I'm guessing they're going to say, "All right, bye. We're done here now. We're gonna leave you alone for a while." So let's do some trading. And I will. So I know I'm probably not making the best decisions right now, but that is because this isn't my save. This is a save that was prepared in advance by our lovely Chris Jackson. But so that is why I'm just sort of throwing his resources away. But once we've instigated trade, they will be transporting all of the stuff back to the trading pod, and then we will hopefully see it take off in just a few minutes. Amani Wolf asking, is the game scenario goal to eventually own the planet? Yes, that is why there is a planetary ownership purchasing option right here, which currently is blanked out because I do not have the money to buy it with. Actually, now that I see it here, why don't you talk a bit about the trade goods, which is a new resource that's being added in for this particular scenario.
Yeah, trade goods are crafted on the crafting table. You can use different resources. You can select which resources you can use to create those trade goods, and they are just like different packages of goods that you can sell. The prices are not that good probably for those, but just as everything else in real life, the things that take more time for crafting, more valuable resources, more time put into them as an effort, will be at a higher price. So you can always focus on crafting different materials, different trading goods, or just producing a resource that you found out that it's more valuable for the traders. And also, this is something like as an easy way to make money without thinking too much about resources that are hard to find. Because, yeah, you will definitely land on a space that you don't always have everything.
You can actually think of the trading goods as a kind of a container for dedicated trading resource. You can put your hard-earned resources into it, and don't include it into your longer or medium-term planning. That's why we kind of put it into the game. I wanted to take the opportunity to touch upon another one of the new resources that we are adding, the stimulants.
Sure, go ahead.
Which is both tied to one of the new crops out there, and it's also a very useful resource which can be, of course, traded, but it can also be used by your by the people that are running the ops. And
I was going to see if I had any
let me have a
stimulants,
look.
but I do not right now. But there we go. So
And
I
there we
can
go.
make it from buzz shrooms if I want to.
Yes.
Which, let's see here, stimulants will give them a happiness effect on consumption, which is great in case your survivors need a little bit of a boost. And we all know that sometimes they definitely do, which is why we give them these lovely statues and some chairs to sit in and maybe a dartboard now and again that they can throw some darts on.
But you could do all that with stimulants. Hey,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
expandable
Just-
resource.
Yeah, stimulant, some beer, and that's all good. So that actually brings me quite neatly to the new plants that are in this this update right here, because stimulants are made from. Oh, where are they? Are they here?
No,
There they
you
are, buzz shrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms. Yes.
So we're adding in several new plants with the update, and they, I believe, most of them are available in both the crash landing scenario and in the trading scenario. Was there a reason for introducing them to both in this particular update?
There is a. We definitely think that the trading scenario needs those, but we don't want to limit the experience of the players. We want to give the players more tools to experiment with and try different approaches. We don't want to encourage like tunnel vision. So now you're playing this scenario, in this scenario you have only this, and on that scenario you have only that. No, we want to enrich the world as we go.
Also, they provide like a different way to get resources that usually you're struggling with. So if you're lucky enough to have those crops available, or if you find them during an expedition, this could greatly benefit your playthrough. And it also keeps you motivated to explore.
Absolutely. And as we talked about before, the buzz shrooms will let you make stimulants as well as some stimulating tea, which will give you a bit of a boost. Let's see if we can find some of the other ones here. That's your beef berries. These are grain cob. Cure plants is basically a shortcut to antibiotics, I believe, which can be very helpful if you don't have enough grain in your immediate area or anything like that around you. And I think also, antibiotics also sellable if you have too many of them, and if you have a lot of cure plants around you, maybe you suddenly have a lot of antibiotics. Comment here from Lila Bobina saying, "Ooh, nice." So there's definitely some community positivity around these already. And next up we have these are interesting, the synth plants. which will let you craft synthetic textiles. So they're essentially a synthetic version of the skin bark plants,
Yep.
but they have a drawback. And what is that drawback?
The drawbacks is that they negatively affect the soil quality. So yes, they are shortcuts to some more advanced material, but the soil that they grow on will degenerate over time.
Yeah, this happens over time, as mentioned, so it won't happen right away. You can use this farm a few times to harvest the crops, but eventually you won't be able to plant like high quality plants on it.
Yeah, it will degrade the soil, and there is that. You will just be postponing a problem for you.
So yeah, make sure that you don't over farm these, because you might screw yourself over a little later. Might be the tip from you, I think. When it comes
Now
to
we're
the
taking a page from like a bit more advanced, or I should say, farming in depth with the plant that's right next to it on the left.
the mulch tube.
Yes. The mulch tube will provide additional source of sweet syrup, but it will also improve the quality of the soil where the plant grows.
Right.
So you could try and do some alternative farming with its neighbor and see the effects.
So you could potentially grow a lot of synth plants, wait for the soil to degrade, and then have a crop of mulch tube, which then improves it, and then go back and forth. That's interesting. That's and I'm sure a lot of players are already considering the implications of this. But I think that's a neat little mechanic that you can play around with, because both of these definitely helpful in a long-term game, and definitely something that can be used. Yeah, crop rotation, as Void Flakes points out. If you're just joining us on this here stream, welcome. My name is Jens. I'm part of the community team here at Frontier Developments. And today we're showcasing the Sow and Sell update for Stranded Alien Dawn, a game that is out now in early access on PC on Steam. So if you want to check it out, then head on over to Steam and just search for Stranded Alien Dawn. And I am joined by developers from Hemimont Games, who are the creators of Stranded Alien Dawn. So if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good day. Lila Bobina says, I am sure I will forget this and absolutely ruin my farm. Well, hopefully you have some mulch tube that can make things a little bit better, a little bit easier.
We believe in learning by experience, so
yeah, absolutely.
That should be, as long as it's a memorable experience and there is stories to tell, then we will have succeeded.
Speaking of turning soil and having an impact on the soil, tell me about these energy crystals.
So this is one of the new crops that is also used in a recipe for crafting power cells. You will need this resource to craft this advanced electronics, because what we decided to do is to change the recipe. So basically, if you want to craft power cells, you will definitely need this type of resource available. And also you have to be careful, since it also dries out the soil. But it's a very valuable resource.
Make sure that you have it. The growth has an impact on the soil, dries it out, and turns it into sand. So is this something that happens immediately? Does it happen over time? I'm sure
happens over time.
Yeah, players will find that out very, very quickly also. But these, once I read about these, I thought they seem very overpowered. And then I saw, it makes soil into sand. That is how you balance that out. That's very good.
That's why we have the desertum biome.
Yes, I mean, I'm assuming they can still grow in sand.
Previously failed farming attempts on the planet.
Over farming of energy crystals just suddenly made it into a desert. Interesting though. I think the mulch tube will be very, very handy to have in the desertum biome, because if you have it around for long enough, then maybe it can improve the quality of that soil as well. Which I think
I'm
will
only
be
afraid
very
that the
helpful.
inhabitants of the planet will be somewhat more exposed to diabetes without that sweet syrup around.
It's fine. People have lived through it with during winter. It'll be okay. Let's see here. I'm just going to quickly check my notes here. So that are the new plants that we're adding in with this new update. Let's talk about some of the new items. We've already talked about the trade goods that you can have set aside for when you decide to trade. And there's also some new things that you can build, like these safes. It was very interesting because someone earlier said, what is that prison cell? It's not a prison cell. It is literally a safe room. Both a room that's safe and a room in which you keep your safes. So it's a safe room. Thank you. And these windows right here are tall barred windows. And then I think one of these should be, there's the door. I just couldn't see it. But yeah, these safes will let you keep your galactic coins stored. I think it's a cool little addition. It's a thing you build. It should be under my storage menu. Here it is. And it's a safe. There's not much to say apart from it being a safe. But I've heard
Actually,
rumors.
there is.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Yeah, this ties into the favorite feature of this update of mine.
Yeah, go on.
Because ultimately, you need to keep your workers happy. Otherwise, galactic coins, as any other resource, are not something that is electronically kept somewhere, like, I don't know, a digital currency consuming ungodly amounts of electricity. And they're physically present in the map, and therefore much sought after by disgruntled employees.
Right.
And that's why you need the safe for.
Probably a good idea to keep it away from people's grubby hands in case they decide to go rogue and maybe pocket some of the dividends for themselves. So yeah, that is actually a very good thing to keep in mind. There was actually a question earlier I saw in chat asking, can they still have meltdowns and can they actually steal from us? So yes, they can have meltdowns, and yes, they might actually steal from you. So put these coins into.
And suddenly our
into
society
safes.
is now divided between haves and have-nots.
Definitely. I've also heard some rumors that you might be able to make your own money in a certain roguish way.
We can neither confirm nor deny that. But joke aside, there is this nice little addition that we were really having fun with when we come up with the idea. If you is it with the 3D printing?
It's still not visible here because
I haven't unlocked it. It hasn't been unlocked on this particular save here, but eventually with 3D printing, you can start printing your own galactic coins, which maybe it'll help you buy the planet a bit quicker. Who's to say? Just maybe make sure that you're not, make sure that you don't trick too many people with it, I think. Just in case. All right. So yeah, that is money printing. That is the safes. And one final new thing that I also saw a lot of people noticing already, and also another highly requested community suggestion requests, and I see emojis already with in chat from people going, is that what I think it is? So these new hydroponic racks, which essentially is what you think it is, it allows you to grow crops during winter when it would usually fail. Can you elaborate a bit more on why this was a part of this update? I mean, yeah, it's a trading update and farming update, so that's probably part of it. But can you elaborate a bit more about the hydroponic racks, please?
Obviously, we should keep more options for growing stuff open to the player, and you're no longer coming to the planet unprepared. Therefore, we thought that having hydroponic racks is only logical. I mean, you have spaceships.
Sure.
Probably a hydroponic rack is not that far beyond on the technological chain.
Mhm.
And we also wanted to give the players freedom to try different approaches to crop growth. Mind you, the hydroponic racks do require electricity, such as in real life.
Mhm.
So there is definitely a trade-off, and yeah.
But also, as we previously mentioned, that some of the plants can damage the soil with hydroponic racks. This is not something that you should worry about because this mitigates this problem. But yeah, they are a great way to handle the new plants, as we can see here, and also make sure that you can plant other stuff that you need in winter.
As Lila Bobina points out in chat, the vegetarian characters are going to love this, which I agree with. And I think also, obviously, it's a bit of it's more mid-game research than early-game research because, like you said, you need electricity in order to make it function. But this on the desert biome, for example, I think will be very, very helpful if you're struggling to get food up and running, if you're struggling to get any sort of farm or crop up and running, which I currently am in my desert playthrough. So this is definitely something that I'll be putting in once this update comes out.
If you can survive all the way through the challenges that you face while going all the way to the research and establish the electricity network, then yes, absolutely, sure, why not? Your life should become easier.
And also playing the scenario on Desertum is entirely different experience.
Oh, for
in my
sure. I
opinion.
noticed.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that
Oh,
as
yeah.
well when as I was playing it. I definitely noticed. So, but yeah,
Now-
no, these are definitely very, very helpful. Excuse me, Espilonage from chat saying thank you so much for implementing the hydroponic racks. Of course, the reasoning behind it has been thoroughly explained, but I think it's a very nice and neat little feature. And the second I saw it, because obviously I knew what was coming before this update before the information about this update came out, I just looked at it and I sent a message to other people working on the game saying, people are going to love this, particularly when it came to the hydroponic rack. So it is a very good little extra feature to have. So let's see here. We've talked about the trading pod. We've talked about a bit about hiring workers, and I think we're going to try to speed things up so we can, hopefully, maybe there will be someone to hire at some point, because we did put out a job offer, but we'll see if that happens. And we have talked about the new plants. We've talked about the new items coming in. There's money printing. There's safes. We can probably talk a bit more about Vicente here, who, because there was a question earlier if there was some sort of haggling implemented. Yes, there is Vicente himself who has the haggler trait, which makes that, trade ships will sell goods at a 5% discount and buy them at a 5% higher price. And you can also make it easier to hire new workers or rehire workers if you need to. So obviously, whenever we roll out a new update, we try to implement a new survivor, try to implement a new survivor that's in flavor with what the update is all about. Where did this guy start off as? Was it, we need someone who's good at trading, we need someone who's good at farming, we need someone who's good at both? Like, what was the sort of process of creating Vicente, the farm owner, the survivor?
Vicente started as somebody who we imagined as a really good farmer. The visuals are favorite to our artists that creates the portraits, and he really wanted to have this character in the game, and we thought that he would be best suited for the Sow and Sell update. I I remember the whole concept behind the update, floating um, floating around, and at the time when we saw the recommendations and or the questions from the players, the fact that they wanted to farm and just experience a more peaceful environment and not leave the planet, and this tied in really interestingly with a thing that a couple of years back we discussed when we imagined the game. And I don't know if you've seen it. There is this Love, Death, and Robots episode of, was it Mech Suit, something like that?
Oh, the
But there was
farming mech suits thing?
Yes,
I love that
and
episode.
yeah, this was something as an atmosphere that we thought that at some point would be really nice to capture in the game. And when people started discussing farming and ways to stay on the planet, these two things really came together.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think he's a very, he seems like a very also well-balanced character. He's pretty good at most things, except for the cooking. But yeah, if you need a good farmer, if you need someone who's decent at both farming, trading, and some physical stuff, then yeah, he is definitely a person to have along on your journey if you're deciding to play through this particular scenario. But another thing that we talked about earlier is the fact that once you reach the end of the scenario, you buy the planet, obviously, but something that's also new here is that once you reach the end of the scenario, you can choose to continue playing. In the crash landing scenario, obviously you leave the planet, so there's no reason to continue being there because it'll be empty. But in this particular case, you can continue playing, you can continue building, trading, hiring more workers, all of that stuff. What made you decide to include this as a feature in this particular scenario?
We definitely saw the disconnect between the fact that you're leaving and all the efforts that you've been putting on the planet, and we saw that the players also recognized this as an issue. And as I said earlier, we wanted to give them the reason to or perspective that they're not leaving all that behind, but they can stay as long as they want to.
Yeah, and also you can always take your time to explore, because if you leave too early, there might be like unobserved plant species or animal species that you want to take a closer look at, or some expeditions that you would want to finish. And by providing like more time for the players to enjoy the environment, we think that this is a great opportunity to see more aspects of the game.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people who always have some outstanding things that they need to take care of in their save games, for sure. For sure, but I think it's a very very good one, and definitely a lot of people said when we announced this the other day, said, "Oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted." And oh, there's a wedding, so we should maybe go ahead with the wedding. And I do think then you basically said that I need to give them a day off, so I think we should just set everyone to anything.
Or relax.
Or relax.
Just to
More
make
like-
sure that
Yeah, just to
they're
make
not
sure.
handling
Alright.
any.
Day off.
Yeah.
Everyone can have a celebration. Someone can also check out these buttermelons. And speaking of which, so who was it? Was it Carter and
And Daniel, I think.
it was Daniel? That actually also very neatly brings me into something we kind of hinted at earlier, because there are ways for you to add workers to your farm and then not pay for them. Do you want to reveal more about this? I mean, we're seeing one of those ways in action right now, but you want to elaborate?
Yes, it's
a bit
called
more on
love.
this?
Like, be gone with the money. Like, let them enjoy life and live with each other.
That is
And
very, very
yeah,
true.
basically, if a farm owner and a hired hand decide to marry, then you are actually accepting that higher hand into the family. And you can see now that Daniel should.
Yeah, he became an owner.
He should have the. Oh, sorry, I'm keep clicking around. He had
the farm
now has
owner.
the farm owner trait,
Farm owner, right?
which
Yes.
which I think is a very. I love that addition. I love that as part of this scenario, and I think it makes perfect sense. Like when these people spend so much time together, like obviously some of them are going to develop feelings for each other. Maybe they want to become part of everything. So I love this as an addition, and I think it's a really cool little thing that you've added in. Some marry for money, I marry for free labor, says Lila in chat. Krista and Chris equals canon, says Espionage. Absolutely, why not? But yeah, that is the marriage of Daniel and Carter. I've also heard that there might be some people who would also like to join your farm for free if you meet certain criteria. But maybe we'll let people figure that out on their own.
I just want to point out that you don't really gave them a full day off for the wedding.
They did
But
the
work
wedding,
is
they're
work.
fine.
It has to be done. Yeah.
There's work to be done. There's stuff that needs to be transported. There's food that needs to be made. So I gave them.
That needs to be solved.
I gave them most of a day off. So there's that.
But you can see that they're all very happy right now.
Yes, they seem to be. Hold on. There is. There we go. Yes, 100%, 100%, 100%. So, I don't know. I feel like I gave them exactly what they wanted because they're all very, very happy with the time that I'm doing. You had 10 minutes off, back to work. Exactly. Everyone knows I treat my survivors and my farm owners very well, mostly. But you know, when there's stuff to be done, there's stuff to be done. You know, it's all that.
That's right. Your survival depends on it. I mean.
All right, I'm going to try to speed time up a little bit as well, see if we can get a trading faction to get in touch with us, or hopefully someone will get in touch about the job posting that we set up earlier. So through the job posting mechanic, you can, essentially have as many workers as you can pay for, but obviously you will need to pay for most of them. You know, there might also be other ways of getting some free workers coming in. Let me double check the chat and see if there are any additional questions. Is there difficulty options? Yes, there are difficulty options. I think this is the medium difficulty. And if you want to check out this area for yourself, it is scale bother. That is the seed, and you can build your own trading outpost in this particular area if you want to. Here's a question from Henry Bloodworth. What parts of this scenario will still be available in the crash landing scenario? Will you be able to trade on later stages or the default scenario? So trading as a mechanic is only available in the trading scenario because there are two different stories being told here, two different plot setups and all that stuff. But all of the new plants that we've touched on today, so the energy crystals, the mulch tube field, the synth plants, the cure plants, all that stuff, that is available in the crash landing scenario. Same with the hydroponic racks as well. And there's probably a couple of things that I've forgotten, but I think those are like the main ones that people might be interested in hearing about. So here we go, contract offer. Woo!
Yay.
Finally.
That's Hugo.
So we finally got there. So Hugo wants to join us. Hugo is the survivor or the character that we added in the Tame and Train update. That's what it was called. I almost forgot about it. Sorry. But yeah, no, this is what happens when a worker says, hey, I want to join your outpost. What do you have for me? So as you can see here, I can then hire them for half a year, a full year, 2 years, or I can click discuss payment. So let's try discussing payments. And he agrees to work for 10% less. Thank you, Vicente, for making this happen. And
Do we tell out another tiny little detail?
I mean, if you want to, sure.
Yeah. Well, specifically for Hugo, for example, he's a favorite character of mine. There is a way to incentivize him to come work for free, for example, if you have a lot of tamed animals. And there are some more details like that with relation to characters' preferences, which will let players to explore. I won't say anything else. But,
interesting.
Think about players' characters' backgrounds and what would they like, and then try to make your trading outpost as convincing or inviting to that specific character, and you might get a treat there, or might not. There is
Interesting.
not everyone is equal.
Yeah, there's a lot of animals around. Maybe maybe Hugo can take care of them a little bit, and we'll see what happens.
I was hinting at the possibility to have Hugo come work for free, in which case you would need to have the animals prior Hugo joining, so that would make your outpost much more pleasing and inviting for him.
Absolutely. But here he comes. Yeah, once you've accepted someone's offer, trading pod goes away, and poof, out comes Hugo, immediately off to collect his payment, which I kind of like, actually.
Of course, that's why he's coming.
Yeah, I mean, you hired me. I might as well get paid, Absolutely. Let me just follow Hugo here as he, goes for his payment. Right in that safe, and off he goes. Evil Witcher says, I don't know what this game is about, but I'm into it. This is Stranded Alien Dawn. You manage a group of people who have recently landed on an alien planet and who are, in this particular scenario, are trying to build a trading outpost. In a different scenario, they are trying to get off planet after a crash landing. And I was just going to give Hugo some gunnery guns in case he needed it. But yes, you can also build these saves, Nerolia, to keep your money safe in case you missed that earlier. All right, let me see what else we've got on the chat here. Mini83 asking, is this update out or soon? So, we should mention, of course, that the Sow and Sell update, which is what we have been previewing today, is out on the 28th of March, which is in a week from today. You'll be able to try all this stuff out for yourselves. And personally, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people are able to, how people build, how people approach the game differently, because this time around it's all about building up that good cash flow and eventually making sure that you have enough money to buy the planet wholesale. Let's see here, and make sure, of course, that your workers are as happy as they can be. Poor Hugo is idling right now. That's because I haven't gone in and told him what to do yet. But obviously, once you add a new survivor or a new character to the mix, you'll have to make sure that they have their schedules and that they have their things they need to do. All right, well, we're coming up on about 5 p.m. GMT here, so I think we can start to wrap up this particular stream. Again, let me just say that the Sow and Sell update coming out on March 28th, and in said, just as we're switching over, I get a message from the game saying, there's aggressive animals nearby. So yes, you will definitely have to protect your trading outpost. But right now I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here. So I think we'll be okay. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. But there's always going to be risk. There's always going to be things that come to take you down. Unless you're playing on the pacifism mode, which is definitely a thing you can do as well. But yeah, like I said, Sow and Sell updates coming out on March 28th in 1 week. featuring a new scenario. There are new items and recipes. There are new plants, and there is a whole new survivor/character being added to the roster of people. Before we sign you off, Bisser and Kali, do you have anything else that you would like to add towards the end here?
Well, we are really eager to see how players manage to create this trading outpost, and to make use of the new plans and the new stuff we have prepared for them.
I would say profit is good, but people should come first. Remember that when you're pushing the game to the limits, please be nice to your crew.
I was going to say, this seems like the opposite approach to how you play the crash landing scenario, because you've said specifically on these live streams that you try to push people as much as possible in those scenarios to try to, make it as far as you can. And if they die, they die. That's kind of your thing in the crash landing scenario.
That was due to adverse environments. Now it's really up to the people to do what they want to do with their games, of course, but be nice to your survivors.
All right, yeah. I agree. Try to be nice to your survivors. Well, thank you so much, Bisser and Kali, for joining me on this live stream, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And
thank you for having us. It's been great to be here, and we're around as usual. We are really keen to hear all the feedback coming our way, so keep it going.
Fantastic. And while we say... There we go. I'm back. Thank you so much again to the people from Hemimont Games for joining us on this stream. And thank you to everyone out there for watching, of course. Thank you to my producer, Adam, for making sure that everything runs smoothly over there behind the ones and twos. Before I go, I should mention that on Stranded Alien Dawn, being an early access game, is eventually going to leave early access. And we will have some more news about our full release date on the Future Games show, which is happening on the 23rd of March at 10 p.m. GMT. So in 2 days, there's going to be some exciting news coming up about Stranded Alien Dawn. So don't forget to tune into that. And if you missed anything in this live stream, it will be available as a VOD on youtube.com/StrandedAlienDawn. And that's my birthday, says DDD. Well, that's cool. Amazing. So if you missed anything, then please check out the VOD. And there's also more information about the Sow and Sell update on our website, strandedaliendawn.com. We'll be back next week with another live stream, back on Wednesdays again. So that will be on the 29th, we'll be back with another live stream. So please join us then for more Stranded Alien Dawn. I've been Jens. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.